Backrooms is from director Kane Parsons, creator of the Backrooms web series based on the creepypasta, written by Will Sudick, who worked on Homeland, Westworld, and Ash vs. Evil Dead. Parsons was a teenager when he came up with the short film that started the web series, and he directed this movie at only 20 years old, making him the other part of the wave of Gen Z horror directors from YouTube getting to the top of the box office along with Curry Barker's Obsession. I don't think Markiplier is young enough to fit here. Parsons wins for most impressive in how young he got such a big debut, although Barker had the better movie, but that's no knock on this one because it's also a very creepy horror film. Anyway, A24 is the one who let him direct based on the success of his series and hooked him up with Oscar-nominated actor Chiwetel Ejiofor. He plays the manager of a furniture store who discovers a portal to another world in the basement of his store, and that world is a bunch of beige corridors, but it's still fascinating enough for him to investigate, until he gets too close to the dangers of it. The location is the villain here. Boring hallways have never seemed so evil. Not just what you might find in there, the place itself feels dangerous, and it's full of creepy images that will get under your skin. I've only seen a few episodes of this series, so I'm not fully up on the lore, at least not until I finish, but it's the mystery of this place that makes this movie. It told me some stuff that I hadn't gotten to yet, but still not a whole lot. Yet enough. The whole thing ends up being a symbol for Ejiofor giving up on his aspirations, and in that sense, I think it was an interesting metaphor. There's also a bunch of things at the end that would probably be best suited for those who have seen the whole series. If this was an original idea, it might be a little too much, but with the knowledge that there's more records of the Backroom than what we've seen, it makes more sense to point toward that. And it's done in a way that never feels like anybody in the audience is missing anything. This is a unique, creepy movie. Even at such a young age, Parsons knows how to scare people. What does his future outside the Backrooms look like? I don't know. But you can see that there might be potential for him to have a good career outside of these yellow walls.
Close Encounters of the First Kind. Sighting of an unidentified flying object. Close Encounters of the Second Kind. Physical evidence of a UFO. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Actual contact. Columbia Pictures, in association with EMI, presents Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Disclosure Day is the newest from Steven Spielberg. He also wrote it along with David Koepp, who worked on Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, and Black Bag. It tells the story of two strangers who are connected to an extraterrestrial presence. One of them has stolen every government document on the existence of aliens, and now they are both setting out to leak them to the whole world. This is obviously in the vein of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but it's a little more of a government thriller than that. A lot of the movie is them trying to outrun the Men in Black. Surprisingly, I don't really have much to say about this. Yes, I was obviously very excited for it. Another Spielberg movie, especially with him going back to the roots of his best work, is an event. But really, there isn't as much to say here as I was hoping. It's good, yet somewhat disappointing. It starts out as a decent, if somewhat bland, conspiracy thriller, although at almost 2.5 hours long it can drag at times. But there are a few imaginative moments in this stretch. However, once it reaches the last 15 minutes or so, that's when that Spielberg magic starts to show through. Surprisingly after the resolution, just the way everything is shown. There are no real surprises in the third act, but after the conflict is said and done, that Spielbergian sense of wonder is on full display. Like nobody else can do it, just on a much larger scale than he's normally done. This unfortunately might not be remembered as a classic in his filmography, except for maybe that ending. It also may not be the Hope Core movie of the year. That title will probably still end up going to Project Hail Mary. But it is an interesting return to form for the director and may inspire you with the wonders and mysteries of the universe.